In most murder cases, investigators search for a suspect who tries to disappear. In Northern California, between 1968 and 1969, police faced something different. A killer who did not hide. A killer who wrote letters. A killer who demanded attention. Not only did he murder strangers, he challenged law enforcement, mocked the press, and turned the investigation itself into part of the crime. This is not a legend. This is what was documented. This is the verdict. On December 20th, 1968, two teenagers were found shot near Lake Herman Road in Benicia, California. They had been parked in a remote turnout. No witnesses saw the shooter arrive or leave. The weapon was a firearm. At the time, police treated the crime as isolated. There was no reason yet to believe this attack would become part of something larger. On July 4th, 1969, another young couple was attacked at Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo. This time, one victim survived. The survivor described a man approaching the car, shining a flashlight and firing multiple shots. Minutes later, a man called police from a nearby payphone and calmly reported the crime. The call included details that had not yet been released publicly. This moment would later become critical. 2 attacks, 2 secluded locations, 2 couples. Police began comparing notes. The similarities did not yet identify a suspect, but they suggested the possibility of a single offender. Still, no name, no face, no arrest. In late July 1969, 3 newspapers received letters. Each letter claimed responsibility for the shootings. Each included a portion of a cipher. Each demanded publication. Police confirmed that the letters referenced details known only to investigators. From this point forward, the investigation changed. It was no longer just about crime scenes. It was about communication. The ciphers became central to the case. One cipher was eventually solved decades later. It did not reveal the killer's name. It did not provide a confession. Instead, it revealed ideology, mockery, and a desire to be feared. Other ciphers remain unsolved to this day. No cipher has ever conclusively identified the killer.
On September 27, 1969, a couple was attacked at Lake Berryessa. This attack was different. The assailant wore a hooded costume. He bound the victims. He used a knife instead of a firearm. One victim survived. The killer left behind a symbol and writing that linked the attack to earlier letters. This was no longer random violence. It was deliberate escalation. On October 11, 1969, a taxi driver named Paul Stein was shot and killed in San Francisco. This murder occurred in a residential neighborhood. Witnesses saw a man walking away from the scene. Police sketches were produced. Days later, letters arrived describing the murder in detail, including information not released publicly. Once again, the killer inserted himself into the investigation. Multiple jurisdictions were now involved: Benicia, Vallejo, San Francisco. Information sharing was inconsistent. Tips flooded in. Most were contradictory. The sheer volume of attention became an obstacle. The investigation was buried under noise. Not every letter was genuine. Police believed some communications were hoaxes. Determining which letters were authentic became its own investigation. This uncertainty weakened the evidentiary trail. When evidence is unclear, prosecution becomes impossible. There was no confirmed DNA. Eyewitness descriptions varied. Physical evidence degraded over time. Eventually, the murders stopped. No arrest followed. No suspect was charged. There were confirmed attacks. There were verified letters. There were unsolved ciphers. And there was no conviction. Legally, the Zodiac case remains unresolved. There was no trial, no guilty verdict, no final answer. What remains is one of the clearest examples of how fear, media, and mystery can overpower evidence. The killer vanished. The letters stopped. The questions remain. This is the verdict.